Hello all out there in YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm obviously not in my usual location because I am dog sitting this week. We've got Lola here off camera, and we have Tipsy sleeping right here, and we have this sleepy boy, Vetter. Say hi to the puppy. Yes, Vetter is a puppy, 7 months old. Tipsy and Lola are old clients. I've been taking care of them for a few years now, but Vetter here is brand new. He's a good boy, he's a good puppy, but he is a puppy. So this past week has been a very, very busy week, and it was made a little extra busy with working with a puppy. We love puppies, but we know puppies are gonna puppy, and that can take up a lot of attention sometimes. But anyway, so I unfortunately did not have time to work on the video that I had planned for this week. And because I had to deal with Vetter and these two other dogs and a bunch of other dogs, I was unable to come up with a proper alternative video. I still wanted to get a video out to you guys this week, but because of how busy I was, because of puppy shenanigans, I wasn't able to come up with an alternative video to give to you guys this week. So, but I still wanted to get something out to you guys. So I thought I would share this little story from my past. So gather around, everybody. It's story time. So anyway, I've remembered this thing that happened to me years ago, like way back when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I thought it would be a fun story to tell you guys. Since I unfortunately don't have a proper video for you guys, I thought this little story would be a good filler until I can get back to work and make a better video. So, this does fit sort of with the theme of my channel because it takes place at a movie theater, and it was a bit horrific for me in my early years. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy this little story from my past that I hope you guys get a little entertainment out of. So, and I apologize for the lighting and the sound here. This was the only room in this house that would be suitable for filming. So if there's an echo, I apologize. It's the only option I had here at this moment. So anyway, let's get on with the story. So, my first job was at a movie theater. There's going to be some setup here before we get to the actual story, but yeah, so my first job was at a movie theater. I worked there for about 4 years. I started when I was 16, and I ended around 20, maybe 21, so it might have been 4.5 years, but anyway. So yeah, I worked at a movie theater for about 4 years, and I loved the job. I met some good people there. I was able to see movies for free. I was able to have as much free popcorn as I wanted. After I left that job, it took me a while to start eating popcorn again, just because I was around it all the time. After that, I worked in seafood wholesale for about 10 years, and now I take care of doggies for a living. Hey, puppies! But anyway, so as with any job in the service industry, you would have interesting customers that you would have to deal with. Some nightmare customers, some weird customers. Everybody in the service industry has their battle stories of nightmare customers, and this was one of the freakiest customers I had to deal with when I worked at the movie theater. So, this was a few months after I had been promoted to assistant manager. I started off, you know, as just the regular staff and all that stuff, but I eventually was promoted to assistant manager. And I was happy about that. It's like, oh hey, I'm good enough at a job to raise in the ranks, and that was like, it was a fun thing. Not fun, but it was a meaningful thing to me because it told me, hey, I'm good enough to advance in whatever field I do. So anyway, but it was only this only happened a couple months after I became an assistant manager. Now, more setup here before we get to the actual event. Anyway, so when you were an assistant manager, you were also trained to run the projection booth upstairs. We weren't a huge movie theater. We only had 6 theaters, unlike the theaters that you would see that would have 10 or 12 cinemas, but this one here, we only had 6 theaters in it, so the assistant managers were also trained in running the projection booth. Now this happened during the last shows of the night. They were the 10 o'clock shows, 10 o'clock p.m. Now, the late shows were not usually as busy as the 7 o'clock shows and the 4 o'clock shows. In the summertime, they would get busier, but this was like, it was transitioning from, I believe, winter to spring, so business was starting to pick up, but it wasn't as busy as you would expect. There was still a decent crowd that night, but nothing too hectic. So the way we would do things is, like if it was the last show of the night, we would set up the projectors halfway. We would reel the films and stuff about halfway. So that way, if no one bought tickets for that movie that night, we could cover everything up, and then we would have less to do in the morning. And since there wasn't that much of a crowd, I would be going up and downstairs. I would help downstairs with the concessions and the tickets, then I would run upstairs to start one of the movies. There was since it was closing and it wasn't that busy, there were 3 people that night. I was one of the managers. There was a girl working on the staff. We'll call her Sarah. And there was another manager doing paperwork in the office. So she was doing paperwork in the office. I was running the projection booth and helping out where I could. So I had set up a bunch of the movies, and I looked at the clock, and I had 5 minutes to go before I had to start the next movie. So I had enough time to go downstairs and help out with some of the concessions and the tickets before I had to go back upstairs and start the film. So I come downstairs, and there was a decent group of people lined up at the concession stand. Not as much as we usually would have at this time, because usually, since it was slow, people would trickle in slower, so you could manage getting everybody out of the way so it wouldn't really build up a crowd. But there was this group of people at the concession stands, and Sarah was at the ticket counter with this woman. There was a blonde-haired woman at the ticket counter with this little girl around maybe 5-6 years old. I can't say for certain, but she was young. She was young. So this blonde-haired woman has this little girl next to her, and there are all these cards spread out on the ticket counter. Debit cards, credit cards, library cards, Stop and Shop cards, things like that, and they're all spread out on the ticket counter. Now apparently what had happened was people were coming in to see the next movie, and this woman came in and said she was going to pay for everybody. Which, now Sarah, she wasn't a manager at the time. She was on the verge to become a manager, but she wasn't. She was like preparing to become a manager eventually. But anyway, so the woman came up to the ticket counter. Everybody was lining up at the concession stand because she said she was going to buy everybody's ticket. And then she started laying all these cards out on the ticket counter. Now, Sarah was looking rather confused and worried about this. I wasn't sure exactly what was going on. I started doing the concessions, and then I saw Sarah's concern, so I went over to her and I said, hey, why don't you go take care of the concessions, I'll take care of this woman. And I'm looking at the time, and it's getting close to when I have to start the movie, but I figured let's worry about this first. So What this blonde-haired woman was doing was she was having the little girl that was with her pick up a card and hand it to me to swipe on the register. So the little girl picked up a credit card, gave it to me, and I swiped it, and it was declined. So I said to the woman, "I'm sorry, this card doesn't work." To which she replies, "It didn't work yet." And I'm confused at this point because I'm like, I don't know exactly what's going on. I am not really in the mood to entertain this woman. I had worked a 12-hour shift that day, and it was the 10 o'clock show, and whenever a 10 o'clock show sells, I usually don't get out of there until 1 o'clock in the morning because you have to wait for the managers and the assistant managers have to wait for all the customers to leave before they can leave. So I wasn't really in the mood to deal with this, but I was trying to be polite. And she has the little girl pick up another card, a debit card. I swipe it. It was declined again. I'm sorry, it said this one doesn't work either. And the woman says, "It didn't work yet." And she starts telling the little girl, "Choose the card, don't pick the card," saying these weird things to this little girl. And again, she's around 5 or 6 years old. Now I'm getting ready to the point where I'm ready to just tell her she needs to leave. It's like, you told all these people you were going to pay for these tickets. You don't have the money for this situation. If you can't pay for it, you're going to have to leave. But I didn't get a chance to get to that point. And the little girl, she's having the little girl pick up library cards and Stop and Shop cards and stuff like that, and I'm telling her I'm not going to swipe these, and the woman's trying to tell me to swipe them, but I'm not doing it. I didn't get a chance, I didn't get to the point where I was going to say, if you can't pay, you have to leave. The blonde-haired woman takes the little girl and brings her to the side, and she's talking to her, and I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly what she said to her. I didn't really hear it that well. I go to the people at the concession stand because they're confused by this. They're asking if there's a hidden camera somewhere. I said if there is, they didn't tell me about it. The other manager is still in the office. She wasn't privy to this whole situation. But anyway, we're trying to deal with this situation because there was all these customers that did not buy tickets because this woman said she was going to pay for all of them. And it's getting close to when I'm supposed to start the movie. I'm supposed to be going upstairs to start the movie now, but I don't want to leave with this whole situation going on. So suddenly, this brunette comes walking into the theater. This woman with brown hair, she comes charging into the theater and she is pissed. She is clearly angry at something. It was the little girl's mother. This blonde-haired woman kidnapped this little girl and brought her to the movie theater. The mother comes in, pissed off, finds her daughter, tells the blonde-haired woman to stay away from her daughter, and starts taking the little girl out of the theater. And the blonde-haired woman starts yelling after them, "You don't have to go with her! You don't have to go with her!" I'm very alarmed at this point. The mother leaves the theater, but the blonde-haired woman is right behind them. Now, mind you, I'm 19 years old at the time, around 19 years old, and I had only been an assistant manager for a couple months. I don't know what to do about this situation. I was never trained for something like this. So, the customers are, worried about this. They're still asking me if there's a hidden camera somewhere. I'm telling them no. It's past the time. It's past the time when I was supposed to start the movie, but I'm not going upstairs to start the movie until we can straighten this all out and everything, and we can calm everything down here. And other movies are supposed to be starting soon too, but I can't leave this situation. I'm about to head to the office to get the manager who was inside and have her come out here or have her go start the movies or something just so we can, get things back on track. And then we hear one of the customers say, "Oh my God, the mother just punched the woman." Now, I didn't really see what was happening here, but from what was described to me by the customers who saw what happened, The mother was trying to take her daughter away. The blonde-haired woman was grabbing onto the little girl and trying to pull her back. So the mother, rightfully so, punched the blonde-haired. Oh, I'm sorry, Lola. Sorry, I woke up Lola. Don't worry, it's okay. You can go back to sleep. The mother punched the blonde-haired woman, rightfully so. Now we got the rest of the details of this situation after everything happened, and yes, the woman was the little girl's mother, and the blonde-haired woman did kidnap this little girl and bring her to the movie theater. But anyway, so yes, I can understand a woman protecting their child from a crazy person. Anyway, so all I know is that there's a shit show going on outside and someone just punched somebody. So I go into the office and I say to the manager, hey, call the cops, things are getting crazy out here. You know, someone's punching somebody. Now, the brown-haired woman, the mother of the little girl, had called into the office and told the manager who was in the office that her daughter's there with someone she's not supposed to be with, but she never told me about that. That's information that would have been helpful to know. But anyway, so she calls the cops, I go back outside, she's still in the office doing stuff, leaving me and Sarah to deal with this situation. I'm trying to calm everybody down, and at this point, you know, because the situation is so crazy, we're considering just letting people go into the movie for free because of how crazy this whole situation was. They came in, somebody said they were going to pay for them, and then this whole shit show happened. I still haven't been able to go upstairs and start the movies yet, and then the blonde-haired woman comes back into the theater. She's got a gash in her forehead, blood pouring down her face. And she's got this look in her eye. You know that look. You've seen that look when you know somebody's crazy. That look that says, you know, I would wear your face as a hat if we were alone. That's the look she had in her eyes. I already knew she was not right in the head with everything I've seen, but now she's looking even more crazy, and it's probably because of the blood's pouring down her face. But there she is, blood pouring down her face, crazy look in her eyes, and the customers are unsettled, to say the very least. I can't leave the situation. I'm waiting for the cops to get there. Sarah doesn't know what to do about the situation either. I mean, we're teenagers. We weren't prepared for something like this. Now, all of that is bad enough, but this woman decides to be chatty. She starts going on and on about how she's the reincarnation of some sun goddess and that there's a revolution coming. And she's saying all this weird, crazy shit. And the customers are kind of like, they want to keep her talking. I don't want her to keep talking. I want the cops to get here so we can handle the situation and then we can get back to the job we're supposed to do. But the customers want her to keep talking. And so they're saying stuff to her like, do you want to clean yourself off? She says, why? Am I really bleeding? Or something along those lines. Keeps going on about this revolution, keeps going on about the sun goddess thing. She flat out admits that the little girl is not hers and that the woman who came in was the mother taking her back. And just going on and on about this with this crazy look in her eye. And she eventually says this one thing, and she looks right at me when she says it, even though I'm not the one really talking to her. I'm just trying to get this situation calmed down and keep everything, you know, calm until the cops get there. But she looks right at me when she says that. She says, that little girl, we have her now. Swear to God, looks right at me, blood pouring down her face, says, that little girl, we have her now. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, bananas. And Monica, the woman, the other manager is still in the office. Like, can you get out here and help with this situation? So finally the woman decides to go into the bathroom to clean herself off because I guess she decided that she is actually bleeding. And the customers continue to ask me if there's a hidden camera somewhere. And I tell them, no, there's no hidden camera somewhere. No one said anything about that to me, and if there is a hidden camera, this is not funny. So finally, the cops show up. The woman comes out of the bathroom, the cops show up, and they start talking to her. So the cops have finally gotten there. I tell the other manager, the cops are here. So she comes out. Finally, she comes out of the office. I go upstairs. I'm finally able to start the movie. We not only let the customers see the movies for free, we also give them free passes. And we also give some free passes to the people who had to wait all this time for their movie to start, who are already in their theaters, you know. Because, like, what else are we going to do in that situation? You know, but anyway. So, the cops are talking to this. I'm finally able to start the movies. I get back downstairs. The cops are still talking to the woman. She's repeating everything that she said to us. You know, that there's a revolution coming, that she's the reincarnation of some sun goddess. And she pretty much admits to them about kidnapping the little girl. So, yeah. So, after a bit of talking, the cops take out the cuffs, put the handcuffs on her, and they start leading her out of the theater. And as they're taking her out of the theater, she yells, "Revolution, baby!" I mentally checked out after that. I ran on autopilot for the rest of the night because I'm just like, I'm not getting paid enough to deal with this. I'm 19 years old, working at a movie theater. I am not paid enough to deal with this kind of shit. But anyway, so I got out of the theater very late that night because I wasn't able to start the movies until later because of this crazy situation. And I got home that night because I lived with my mom at the time. And I got home and I woke her up when I walked through the door. He's like, "You're just getting back now?" I was like, "Yeah." And then she says, "I had a really rough day today." To which I said, "You want to know what happened to me today?" And then I told her the whole situation. Oh my God. So yeah, that was one of the wildest situations I dealt with in my life. Working at a movie theater, my first job. A crazy situation which started with a bunch of cards spread on the table to finding out that someone kidnapped a little girl and decided to bring her to the movies, to sun goddesses, to revolutions, blood pouring down someone's face. Absolutely insane. Oh boy, that was quite the experience, and of course I never forgot it. How can you forget about a situation like that? So yeah, there's a little story from my past of one of the freakiest situations I ever dealt with. It's a thing. It's like I attract weirdos, you know. Like I'll be in a store or something like that, and there'll be a weird person there, and they'll want to talk to me. And this was, I think this was the catalyst of that, because that was the first time I ever dealt with a weirdo like that. I had dealt with some weirdos before that, but no one to that extreme. So yeah, yeah, that's the whole story, and I hope you found it interesting. Now, let me ask you this. Leave some stories down below of customers that you had to deal with, some of the most extreme situations you had to deal with in the service industry, if you have those. Whatever job you worked, whatever crazy situations you had to deal with, put that in the comments below. I like to hear them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little story. I know that this video wasn't a proper review or a proper video. Again, very sorry about that. We're going to blame... Sorry, buddy. We're going to blame the puppy for that. You know, he's so sleepy. He had a busy day today. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Let's let him go back to sleep. And Tipsy and Lola are going to sleep too. But yes, I do apologize for this not being a proper video for you all this week. I hope this little tale from my youth was okay. I hope you found it entertaining. I will hopefully be back on track next week, and we'll have a video next week. I'll hopefully have actually be talking about movies next week. But until then, let me know if you liked this little story. Let me know if it entertained you in any way. Leave your stories in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience with this situation, and just thank you for the continued support on this channel. It does truly, truly mean a lot to me. With all the other channels you could be watching, you're taking time out of your day to watch my stuff. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you. And until next time, this is the Maniac, here to remind you that the grindhouse will never die. And I got puppies.